It's a front porch style. Both campaigns have been very specific about their top priorities legislatively, and I will take from that information from both campaigns through this conversation and throw it out there and let you guys go ahead and have a conversation about it, contrast your philosophies and your ideas and your priorities going forward for Election Day on Tuesday. Now, starting off, we want to give each person an opportunity for an opening statement, and we'll start with our incumbent, Congressman Heath Shuler.
Thank you, Matt. I want to thank all the listeners and everyone who participated in this debate and given us an opportunity to be able to voice our issues and talk about the issues that's important to the people of this district, and to Councilmember Mumpower for his willingness to come to the debate and to be able to voice his opinion as well. And so I appreciate everyone that's actively involved. Thank you.
All right. Dr. Mumpower.
Okay. As everybody knows, my opponent has dodged debates to this point. In the last election, he was outspoken and critical of his opponent for not participating. This time he's changed his mind. I'm grateful that you folks have created this opportunity, and I have two goals today. One is I want to work hard to take the blue dog mask off my opponent, and two, I want to let folks know where I stand on the issues. And I'm grateful for you guys for providing this opportunity.
All right, I wanted to let people know as well that in addition to the normal broadcast of the program and the internet streaming of the program, there's also video streaming on takeastandshow.com right now. And so if you would like to see the debate as well as listen to it, you can go to takeastandshow.com, and it is available there, video streaming. And the first thing I wanted to do, like I said, we're just going to go through the issues identified by each campaign. And I wanted to start off with an interesting topic in that both of you have received endorsements from groups associated with the Second Amendment. The issue of the Second Amendment, gun ownership in the United States, is one that Western North Carolina, of course, has very near and dear, either on the pro side or the increased regulation side of things. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of gray area for people in Western North Carolina. But Dr. Mumpower, you have received an endorsement from Gun Owners of America, and Congressman Shuler, you have received an endorsement from the NRA. What I'd like to do is offer the opportunity for you both to highlight your philosophy toward gun ownership and the government's role in that, and then to contrast each other on where you stand on gun rights. And Congressman Shuler, we'll start with you.
Obviously, the Second Amendment is very important to me and our heritage here in the mountains. It's what has helped us in so many different ways of knowing who we are. As it creates a sense of personal responsibility that we have as an individual, that we can have the right to bear arms, that we have that we can uphold the Constitution and this amendment. It was an honor to be able to get the NRA endorsement. I had a good rating. I think I have a 100% voting record with the NRA. And I think that's what I'm very proud to be able to say that when it comes to the Second Amendment, and for everyone to be able to have the opportunity to bear arms, it's important that we go to Washington, not only just talk about it in a campaign, but actually prove it by the votes that we cast. And the last 2 years I've been able to vote on numerous occasions and support the NRA and support our Second Amendment.
In terms of contrast, the Gun Owners of America gave me an A, gave my opponent a C. I don't waffle on the Second Amendment, will not going forward. I think the language is very clear. The right to bear arms will not be infringed. I'll play that firmly and consistently.
And whoever wants to take this first, what do you see the intention of the Second Amendment as for the American people? Why do you believe the framers of the Constitution put that in the Bill of Rights?
Purpose of the Constitution is liberty, and I think they wisely recognize that as government gets bigger, people get smaller, and I think they want a government to be a little apprehensive about our power. The right to own firearms preserves the potential for us to hold on to our liberty.
All right, any follow-up on that at all? All right, then we'll go to the next topic, and that is the role of government itself is a central theme that we could branch off for probably the entire 2 hours. So I'm going to try to keep it to specific things. Dr. Mumpower, one of the things that you have highlighted consistently in your campaign is the philosophy and the implementation of tax policy in Washington. How would you summarize your philosophy and your attitudes about taxes, where they are and where you want to see them go?
Well, we have a choice between big government or big government or big people. We only get one of those, and I'm a big people person. The more money we give government, the more it grows. The bigger the dog is, the more he wants to eat. Contrast that with my opponent who talks about being conservative with money, but really isn't. If you look at his record on earmarks, he's resisted earmark reform 100% of the time. If you look at his position on pay-go, which is pay-as-you-go, which is a good concept, if Heath were what he purports to be, frankly, I don't think I would have run. But he's in a party that is dedicated to making hollow promises to people and spending other people's money, and he votes with his leadership. Nancy Pelosi 86+% of the time, and I see a major contrast between the two of us. Is I'm very consistent at being careful with other people's money. I don't believe my opponent is.
Well, if you look at our voting record, my voting record particularly, it's when it comes to the important issues, when it comes to fiscal responsibility, I place in legislation that would give reform to votes being cast in Congress, that they have to be more transparent. They have to be have 24 hours before the vote being cast. Typically in certain situations, the vote's being cast with very little time to be able to examine the piece of legislation. On the rule tip, we've been very consistent on voting against the rule when we hadn't had the time to vote, the time to read the piece of legislation. The pay-go rules, it's the first time we've been able to adopt the pay-go rules back into Congress, and it's very similar to the way we act within our own household and our own business. It's a pay-as-you-go approach to ensure that that we don't spend the money that we do not have. And I voted against the leadership when it come to this budget. 2 budgets in a row, I voted against the budget because it didn't go far enough to cut the wasteful spending and to be able to give greater tax cuts to the middle class.
May I rebut that? Mm-hmm. As a politician, we're defined not by what we call ourselves or cute titles we give ourselves. We're defined by our voting record, and my opponent does not have a consistent voting record, far from it. If you look at his record on overriding the president's vetoes on excessive spending bills, he not only has a 70 or 80 or 90% record, he's got a 100% record of doing that. It matches Nancy Pelosi 33 times. He has voted against presidential vetoes to control cost. If you look at the folks who monitor our care with people and their tax circumstance, the National Tax Limitation Committee gives my opponent a 16% ranking. The Americans for Tax Reform gave him a 15% ranking. FreedomWorks gives him a 10%. National Taxpayer Union gave him an F. My opponent is one of many, mostly Democrats, who voted to do away with the Bush tax cuts. That means in 2010, and this is before all the nonsense started recently where they really accelerated the federal deficit spending, there's a tax increase coming for every adult in western North Carolina that's going to average $1,400. He voted for that. And this is one of the things, the problems I have with my opponent. I like him personally. I don't have any personal animosity to him, but he talks one way at home, votes another in Washington, and I think that's wrong.
Well, obviously my opponent certainly doesn't have the numbers correct. We have not had but 10 overrides of the veto. And I'm very proud to stand strong for the S-chip vote that I voted to override the veto of the president to be able to provide health insurance for our children, who give them an opportunity to have primary care physician help, that they don't have to spend the times in the emergency room. They don't have to wait until they become so ill that they end up in the hospital. And I'm very proud of my votes. We've had multiple votes. When it comes to protecting our children, we had a great vote that I wish we'd had the override on our energy policy for new sustainable renewable energies. We've had multiple votes. Unfortunately, we haven't had 33 votes, and You know, when my opponent sits here and he reads off from a list of very partisan politics, you know, Matt, I have a proven track record.